Muy buenas noches, bienvenidos nuevamente a nuestra serie internacional. La semana pasada estuvimos hablando con Susan Friedman, una de las personas que más es reconocida en el mundo por la cantidad de personas a las cuales ha asesorado y de empresas que ha asesorado con grandiosos éxitos en lo que tiene que ver con la participación en ferias y exposiciones. Vamos a continuar en la noche de hoy hablando con Susan Friedman. Cuando regresemos, ya volvemos. Good evening, Susan. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back again.
It's a pleasure and an honor to have you again. Well, last week I said I had a question for you, and that's about the people who are in the show, who are in the booth. Do you think it's much better to have people from the same company, or or you think that it is better to prepare outsiders to be in the booth, in the show, during the show? What's better?
I would highly recommend that you have your own people because they know your company, they know your products and services, and as I mentioned last week, we talked about them being ambassadors for your company. So you want to have the best people, you want to make sure that they're trained. That's very important. Don't just put them on the show floor and expect them to know what to do, because sometimes even the best salespeople are terrible on the show floor because it's a different selling environment. You know, they're used to selling in the field, what we're known as in the field here, but on the trade show floor it's very different. There's so many people in a very short period of time. You could see more people on the trade show floor in 3 days than you could in a whole year selling in the field.
And if the exhibitor is going to have the beauty queen in the booth, she has to be prepared, well prepared, not only with a notion or a little idea of what it is.
It's very important that if you do bring anybody in from the outside, that you do train them, that they become part of your company, because the people who are walking the show, they expect you to be part of the company. They don't expect that you've hired someone and brought them in just for this. So that person, whoever he or she is, has to blend in, look as if they belong, even if they are there to be maybe a greeter. They greet people, they meet and greet people, and then they hand them over to the salespeople. That could be somebody, but they don't have to be dressed up very sexy. They can be in a very, nice suit and look very professional.
Oh, I have one more question. How long should a trade show be? Do you think there is a length that should be taken into account? 2 weeks, 1 week, or it depends on the type of show?
It depends on the type of show. I mean, there are some shows that just last 1 day. The most popular are usually 3 days. However, I know in Europe, they're week-long, 2-week-long. I remember doing a show in England with my father, and it was a month-long. It was a home and garden show, and it was a month-long show, which is a long time. It's a long, long time. So, but traditionally, about 3 days is usually, especially here in the States.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about academics in a trade show or conventions, because one thing is a trade show with academic programs, one thing is a convention. Why do we have to say it? What do we have to say about those?
It's really important to have an educational component to your show. It adds something else. Again, it's an opportunity for people to learn more about their industry. So yes, I mean, I love having an educational component to the show. What I highly recommend from the organizer, though, is that the show and the educational component are separate, that they're not running simultaneously. Because when that happens, there's nobody on the show floor and the exhibitors get very upset. So, because everybody's in the conference. So if they can separate it, that the show hours are different from, the workshops and seminars, then that's the ideal.
When there is a convention, should it be a sample, a room for some exhibitors, small exhibitors? It's not an exhibition show, it's a convention, a seminar. Do you think it is good to have people, with little booths around or anything like it?
It's a good opportunity whenever there's any kind of educational session that to have maybe small exhibitors. Maybe they have what are known as tabletop exhibits, very
Yes.
small exhibits, um, because there are fewer people and you've got a captive audience, so it's a wonderful environment if you use it correctly. But half the time people just sit there and they hand out brochures and they look bored,
Yeah,
whereas
because more people go to the conference.
but here is an opportunity for me to interact, to network, to find out more. It's about the conversation. If we could have a great conversation and I can understand about what your needs are, what's going on in the industry, what's going on in your particular situation, that's a wonderful conversation to have.
Do you have any special recommendations for people who are going to be showing something in a convention?
So having a minimal, usually a table. I don't like chairs because if there's a chair, people will sit down and then they never get up.
Yeah, and that's not a show, a trade show. That's
Yeah.
a convention.
Yes, yes. So you mean the little tabletop sessions?
Yes.
Yes. They can be standing, and if there's nothing going on, then maybe there may be a seat, but minimal. I mean, you have to have. What are you there for? Why are you there? Are you there to do some education yourself? Are you there just to support the industry? Why are you there?
Okay, we're going to go to another commercial break and we'll be right back. Vamos entonces a otros comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes. Ya regresamos. Susan, back to exhibition shows and trade shows. When they have machinery or big equipments and they mix, those big equipments with small equipment, like construction equipment, they need a lot of big equipment and small equipment. How should they combine those types of things?
Okay, so again, depending on the amount of space that you have, but people like to touch, feel. So if you can demonstrate your product, you're showing it off. So
Yeah,
you
but
want
if
to
you
show it off in the best possible way.
If you have a backhoe, I mean,
Yes.
people can't get into the backhoe to just to drive it or to work with it. It
No,
has to
but
be-
they may want to get inside it. They may want to look around. You could have a video maybe showing you how it's working and pointing certain features out. So it's nice to have something tangible. People love to touch and
Yes.
feel. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about trade shows. They're so sensory, you touch, you feel, you hear, you smell. There's everything going on. You taste if you're having your liquor. You remember
Yeah,
we talked about that.
and if you have a food show or something, with
That's
food.
right. It's all about the food.
Yes, you have to taste it
Exactly.
because you can't imagine how this tastes.
Oh my goodness, I remember going to a restaurant show and I felt so sick afterwards because I'd eaten so much.
Yeah,
But there was all good stuff.
You have to taste everything: candies, food,
Absolutely.
salty, sweet. Then you'll have a stomach ache pretty
That's
easy.
right. That's right.
Okay, cars and things like that. Are they good to have demonstrations and cars? Almost everybody knows how to drive a car.
Yes.
Do you think it is a good idea to let people drive cars in an exhibition show?
Again, it depends what they want to achieve, but again, the more people can touch it, they see it, try it, feel as if they own it already, that's very helpful. Now, talking about cars, and I believe it was Mercedes, they exhibited at an electronics show. They were the only car on being exhibited at that time. So they stood out from the crowd and they had all the people taking test drives. It was a wonderful sales opportunity because they went somewhere different. They didn't go, what they were looking at was who was their target audience. So they knew that the kind of people who went to this electronics show had the kind of money to buy perhaps a Mercedes.
Talking about marketing communications, many people are saying that exhibition shows, trade shows, conventions are part of the communication mix. What do you think?
In order for a trade show to be valuable to a company, they have to be integrated into the marketing mix. So that it's not, it used to be that the trade show was like, they didn't know where it fit in. It was almost like a stepchild out there. It's like the necessary evil, I have to go to the trade show. But now that the savvy marketers are realizing that they have to integrate it into the overall corporate marketing. It's very important.
And what about press bulletins and free press during the trade show?
I'm a great believer in using the press room. The press room is really, really important. And believe it or not, only about 30% of the exhibitors actually use the press room. And it's a wonderful opportunity because all the press, all the media who are in the industry go to these shows because they want to see what's new in the industry and they want to report it. So having press releases, doing a press conference. Now, if you have a press conference, you want to make sure that you've got something new to tell the media, because otherwise they get very, very upset taking time just to hear about something they already know about. So you have to have something new.
If you don't have a press conference but a press bulletin, do you think they should be short, very short, not long, because journalists are not going to look at them, and so they should be short, right?
So you want to have the main information in your press kit about the product or the service that you are demonstrating, the one that you want to feature. And if you want to have pictures, I mean, now a lot of the time people are putting them on the flash drives or maybe on a CD-ROM rather than paper. I don't recommend to have a very fancy folder because I've seen the journalists. They take out the stuff and they throw the rest away. And it seems such a shame because they just want the most important part of the press kit.
What about the pre-show or invitations before the show?
Invitations to the media or to your prospects?
Prospects and the media.
Yeah. Again, that's part of your pre-show planning and promotion, is letting people know that you're going to be at the show, what you're going to be exhibiting. Give them a reason to come and see you. Are you going to show them something? Are you going to give them something? What are you going to do? Why should they take their time to come to your booth? Because a show, as we talked about the size of the shows that are coming to Medellin, to the convention center there, the fact is they're going to be huge. They're huge shows. And why should I take my time to come and see you? Another statistic for you, over 68% of people coming to the show have planned out where they're going to go. Because these shows are so big and you've got so little time, you want to maximize that. So you want to be on people's must-see list. So you have to promote, your being at the show.
We have to go to another commercial break and we'll be right back to end the program, okay?
Excellent.
Ya vamos entonces a otros comerciales y estaremos de nuevo con ustedes para la parte final con Susan Friedman. Ya volvemos. Susan, we have talked about before the show, during the show. Now we have to talk about after the show.
The most important part. Well as funnily enough.
Before and after.
Yes, the bookends, the
Right.
before and the after. Very important. People concentrate in the middle, whereas most of the energy should be in the before, the planning, we talked about that, and of course the after, because that's where you're going to make the sales.
Right.
This is where the salespeople have to follow up on the leads that they captured at the show, and hopefully they captured good information at the show, and we didn't talk about that, but they have to capture good information so that they can follow up. Yeah, so that they can follow up after the show.
I have seen some shows in the States where they collect business cards and they collect information just to have a raffle after the show and to have a follow-up procedure. Is that good to do that type of things?
Personally, I don't like that when they
Good.
put all, when they put all the cards in the
Yeah,
fishbowl.
you know, bowl.
That's right, and you pick out the winner. No, that doesn't serve a purpose. This is a relationship building opportunity. I want to have a powerful conversation with you on the show floor. And in order to do that, I've got to take some notes,
Wow,
put
yeah,
some
that's right.
information. Now, maybe I take your business card and I staple it to this lead form that I've got, but I've taken some serious information. That business card isn't telling me anything more than your name, address, your phone number, your fax number, your email address maybe. That's all. It's a cold. I don't know what your interest is, and you know, I'm seeing hundreds of people. I'm not going to remember after the show, you know, what did we talk about? So I have to capture that on a lead card beforehand.
The type of information for you know, the traders who follow up is sometimes they have it in the database, but it's a good opportunity for any company to have more and more information. So it doesn't have to be a lot of information, just what you really need. Is that correct?
As I said, it's an opportunity for you to collect more information. You're absolutely right.
But not much more.
Much more. I mean, there's a lot of information I can find out. What are you doing differently? What's changed in your environment maybe since last year, since the last time you bought from us? You know, what's different? Is something working? Maybe you've bought a product from one of our competitors. What did you like? What didn't you like? Why are you looking to change? Are you expanding your facility? What's going on in your environment? I don't know that. And I only know that if you and I have that conversation.
Now, when you're exhibiting clothing, fashion shows, because Medellin has the most important fashion show in South America and I would say around the world nowadays. Anything about it in special? Any advice for them, not only for the fashion shows, but for any exhibitors in Medellin?
Don't
Well,
do
that's what everybody
else
says,
is doing.
and that's easy to say.
Yeah, I know. How can you stand out from the crowd? How can you do something maybe outrageous? How can you do something that's different than what everybody else is? Do something that people don't expect,
But don't-
because that's going to help stand out.
Like somebody says, be different, but don't be stupid.
Exactly.
Don't be ridiculous.
No, no,
And that's easy to be.
yeah.
So how can they be different again?
How can they be different?
No answer to depends.
It depends. It absolutely depends. I mean, there isn't a formula that anyone can just
Yeah, so
fit.
many people in marketing are looking for formulas, and there are no formulas.
There are no formulas. You know, this is a changing environment. Every single show is going to be different. Every company is different. Yes, we're all looking to make sales, so the bottom line is very important. But the fact is that each company has to look at their marketing in their own way. And that's when, you know, I might come in, and if they're talking about their show, we could come in and I could come in and talk to them about how could they make something a little different? What are they doing now? What's new? As I said, new is so, so important.
I think this is going to be the final question because of the time we have. Budget. Is that so important? Trade show, you know, a budget for a trade show?
Of course. It's all about budget. How much are you going to invest? I want you to see this as an investment,
An
not
investment.
spending.
Yeah,
because
right.
you want a return on your investment. That's the whole purpose of the show. It's not just to spend.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
not
want
just to
that
be
happen.
there.
No, not at all. So budget is very important, and obviously, you know, many people run over budget because if you've not been to a show before, you're not quite sure how to budget. But there are certain percentages of your budget, you know, that you would put in your booth. Maybe your services if you have to do transportation of any kind.
I remember that
Obviously
pretty
your
well from your book.
your staff, you know, the indirect expenses, your travel expenses to get to the booth. Maybe if you have to stay at a hotel there. So there's a lot of different things to consider, but absolutely you have to have a budget.
Yeah, and you have a guide to a budget in your book.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Susan, our time is up. So sad. Like I always say, we need more time. We could keep talking and talking about this, and we will never end. But you're gonna be in Medellin pretty soon because we're gonna have you there next year. So we'll have a chance to talk more about this. For that, I thank you very much.
I thank you. I mean, it's a real honor, first of all, to have you here in Lake Placid, to do this interview, and it's very exciting, the idea of coming to Medellin and working with your exhibitors and helping them to be even more successful.
Thank you, Susan, and I hope to have you in Medellin pretty soon, as I said.
Thank you.
Ya ustedes ven, es una mujer que en realidad tiene mucho que enseñarnos y que para Plaza Mayor, para nuestro Palacio de Exposiciones, para todo lo que hacemos en Medellín y todas nuestras ferias y exposiciones, va a ser de gran ayuda lo que acaba de enseñarnos y lo que ella nos va a enseñar después. Nos queda sino agradecerles que nos hayan acompañado en esta oportunidad y desearles una feliz noche. Muchas gracias.